These are the top stories this hour. The Chamber of Industry and Commerce is calling for decisive action from the government regarding the country's crime situation. The swindled Lambert's Academy students in St. Lucia said death is better than deportation to their home countries, and the Italian Prime Minister is calling for the EU to address the region's migrant trafficking crisis. Good afternoon and welcome to ZIZ's Midday Newscast. Today is Wednesday, April 22nd, 2015. I am JD Keynes. Now for a look at the news in detail. This week, during a televised address, Acting Commissioner of Police Stafford Liburd listed a number of initiatives that the police force has taken to combat crime in St. Kitts and Nevis. Among those initiatives is increased police presence in hotspots.
We have already begun to place extra police in key locations where crime is occurring. You will see the reassurance of officers near to the areas with lots of citizens, including schools. You will begin to see more officers walking the streets in key areas. You will see more patrol in key areas. I have instructed the deployment of our command vehicle. This will be a key element in addressing immediate and long-term public safety issues.
Liburd also gave an update on the placement of closed-circuit television CCTV cameras that will be mounted to record criminal activity.
We are also seeking to harness new technology to fight crime, including effective use of modern CCTV throughout the island. Some of the cameras the public will see. Some you will not. Criminals will be identified and have no rest in St. Kitts and Nevis.
Meanwhile, the St. Kitts and Nevis Chamber of Industry and Commerce is expressing extreme concern at the most recent incidents of shootings and armed robberies in the Federation. In a press release dated April 21st, the Chamber registered support of the government's anti-crime initiatives, but reiterated the call for two other senior officers to be contracted. The first to train local officers in crime detection techniques, and the second to deal with the human resource issues within the police force. The CIC first made that call in March 2009 when it asked for the government to name a police commissioner. According to the release, the chamber is of the view that urgent and powerful action is required by law enforcement to restore the safety and confidence of the citizens in our federation. The CIC also suggested that short-term foreign assistance may be needed to address the crime situation. The Food Safety Unit of the Environmental Health Department led this year's local World Health Day activities under the 2015 theme Food Safety. Senior Environmental Health Officer with responsibility for food safety, Glenville Leader, said the activities this year were well executed. They included media-related events, including the global broadcast of a World Health Organization food safety video and the airing of the 5 keys to food safety, the most important things to be considered to ensure food is safe for consumption. Steps taken by the Environmental Health Department to protect the public from unsafe food handling practices range from warnings given to owners or managers and advice given on how to improve food handling and environmental practices to the temporary closure of business places. In regional developments, as the Lambert's Academy scandal continues to unfold in St. Lucia, the Asian students affected by the incident are speaking out. Many are afraid to return home, fearing for their lives and those of family members who borrowed large sums of money from loan sharks, mortgaged homes or sold properties in order to fulfill the dream of furthering their education in the Caribbean. The students have also found support in the leadership of the opposition Lucian People's Movement, who think the government is being too hasty in deporting the students.
The students from Nepal, Philippines and India who were recently defrauded of their life savings in some cases have been told by the St. Lucian government that arrangements are being made to send them back home. But the political leader of the Lucian People's Movement, Thorold Prudent, is not happy.
They are being asked to leave with absolutely no finality to how they will get their monies back. But the major concern also is about the safety back home. Who will guarantee their safety when they arrive back in their home country? Most of the students had to take loans, mortgage their homes, sell their personal properties, and borrow monies from families in order to get here. And our government must make sure that they understand exactly the ramification of such a haste in trying to get the students out of here. And what we're saying basically is, while you're trying to move them very quickly, think about the students, think about the hardship, and think about the consequences, personal consequences to their lives, to the livelihood of their family, their reputations back home, before deciding to do that.
The students say they are also concerned about the lack of representation while the government of St. Lucia is working with the International Organization of Migration.
Actually, we are not, in a state of going back home without our money, or for the purpose we came here. At least we need something in compensation. Going back home means being a refugee back home. There is literally no differences, Stays, living in St. Lucia or going back home is the same thing. If you go back home empty-handed, we're gonna have to, we're gonna have to, hide ourselves from our family, and it's very difficult. So I just hope, government will take some initiative as quickly as possible. A decent one, a favorable one for all of us, so that we can go home happily.
Last night, I was fully depressed that what would be if I go back to my country without empty-handed. And almost I have said that I came here with loans. I have mortgaged my land. If I go back my home, I would have no land to stay even. So that it's a great problem to me. So that even not me, all of us, all the Nepalese, all the Philippines or Indians, whoever are here, they all have same problem. So that when I hear yesterday's government news, or when we meet yesterday's meeting, and they said you must go back your home empty-handed, it's like better to die here. No other option, because it says that even I have no home to stay if I go back my land to my country. So that I just want from the government that every person who is here for study, they must get their money back.
Mr. Prudent says it is mind-boggling that the government of St. Lucia is yet to meet the students on a personal level. He says having the students to leave empty-handed seems to be a policy of the government, which is out of sight, out of mind. For the DBS News World, I am Alex Bousquet.
Former Guyana President Bharat Jagdeo did not show up for his court matter this week to answer private criminal charges that he issued racially divisive statements. The charge was filed by Chartered Accountant Christopher Ram.
As seen in these photos from WIM, the PPP brought out some of its supporters at the magistrate's court there, despite the fact that the former president would not show up for his day in court. Mr. Jagdeo is accused of uttering racially divisive statements during the PPP's Babu John ceremony last month to honor the life of the party's founder, Dr. Chadi Jagan. The PPP organized its supporters to heckle Mr. Christopher Ram, who brought the matter to court. Earlier in the day, PPP executives used social media to criticize Mr. Ram for filing the challenge against Mr. Jagdeo, with the Minister of Education, Priya Manikchan, a lawyer by profession, saying that the action was a conspiracy to jail the former president and muzzle him. Reports are that the PPP supporters called for the case to be thrown out, and their behavior caused Mr. Ram to change routes as the protesters insulted and threatened him. The case has been put off to May 25th to allow for Ram's lawyers to respond to arguments filed by Jagdeo's lawyer, who contended that the service was not effective or that Mr. Jagdeo did not personally receive the summons for him to appear in court. Ram's attorney said the court-martial visited Mr. Jagdeo's home twice, and on one occasion the court-martial was told that Mr. Jagdeo was asleep and the security did not want to receive the summons. The former president has retained the former Attorney General Bernard DeSantis to represent him in the case. DeSantis said the charge is frivolous, vexatious, and an abuse of the process of the court in which it has been filed. He said that the charge constitutes an abridgment of the constitutional right and freedom of Mr. Jagdeo to speak and express himself freely. Mr. DeSantis said this unprecedented use of a criminal charge to muzzle speakers at public political events is an assault on the democratic right of political leaders to speak freely on matters of national interest, as well as a violation of the democratic right of the citizenry to receive such information.
Internationally, the Italian Prime Minister is urging the European Union to take collective action against migrant trafficking as hundreds more arrive on Sicily's shores. Julie Knowles reports.
A boat carrying more than 440 asylum seekers arrives in Sicily Wednesday, the latest in what's becoming an historic influx of migrants onto Italian shores. They're believed to be Egyptian, Syrian, Sudanese, Somali, and Eritrean in origin, rescued by the Italian Coast Guard off the southeastern coast. This group has arrived safely, but hundreds of others drowned over the weekend when an overloaded fishing boat sank off the coast of Libya. European leaders agreed Monday to increase patrols in the Mediterranean, but during an address to Parliament Wednesday, Italian Prime Minister Matteo Renzi said more needs to be done to prevent further tragedies.
This type of priority is something which we must ask of the European Union. We want something different from an assembly of a group of countries that are members in an economic club. We want something that is different from a club of technical specialists that know all the principal geopolitical dynamics, but forget to give any reply at the moment of pain. I'm very optimistic that the European Union can finally change tack.
Leaders from the European Union are scheduled to hold an emergency summit on Thursday to discuss the crisis further.
Pope Francis has accepted the resignation of a Missouri bishop Tuesday who was charged in 2012 with not reporting allegations of child abuse by one of the diocese's priests.
Pope Francis formally accepted the resignation Tuesday of Bishop Robert Finn amid years of public outcry. Finn led the Diocese of Kansas City for nearly 10 years. In 2012, he was the highest-ranking figure in the Catholic Church to be convicted for failing to report suspected child abuse. Church officials had discovered graphic pictures of young girls on the computer of Reverend Sean Radigan and received complaints that the priest was taking compromising photos of girls. Prosecutors say Bishop Finn and the diocese didn't report the suspected abuse until 6 months later.
Oh, it was very saddening. Yeah. No, he was a very good bishop. He got caught up in something that, I don't have an explanation for it.
Following the incident, Bishop Finn apologized for Radigan's abuse and took steps to make the diocese safer for children. But he faced mounting calls for his resignation.
As long as he was going to be there, he was going to be a lightning rod, attracting a lot of attention there that was unwarranted maybe.
The Pope appointed the Archbishop of the Kansas City, Kansas Diocese until Finn's successor is named. Matthew Burgoyne, Associated Press.
In the weather, today's conditions will be sunny to partly sunny with a low chance of showers. Tonight, we can expect fair to partly cloudy skies with the chance of showers remaining low. Winds will blow from the east to east-southeast at 7 to 12 miles per hour over land and increasing to near 15 miles per hour over coastal waters. Some lighter and variable spells are also likely tonight. Seas are slight to moderate with heights of 1.2 to 1.5 meters or 4 to 5 feet. The temperature will reach a high of 29 degrees Celsius with an evening low of 24 degrees. The weather brings us to the end of ZIZ's Midday Newscast. Join us this evening for the details to these stories and more in our major news package. I have been your presenter, JD Keynes. Thanks for tuning in. Have a wonderful afternoon.